Yo, 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 guys, what is good? We are back with the second podcast of 2022. I had my homie Rated R join me live in person from Orlando, Florida for this episode. Frankie and I have known each other for actually quite some time. It's pretty crazy to conceptualize. His glow up has been fucking insane. He is now a nationally touring act. His track Womp Womp put him on the fucking map, got him huge support from the biggest names in dubstep and bass music, played out for so many shows right before COVID hit, and it's amazing to see him come out of the gates from COVID swinging. He's now on the national touring circuit. He just ended the year with a huge back-to-back at Lights All Night in Texas with High End Ghost, then played Countdown in Orlando, Florida. He just announced a wild back-to-back with my girl Jessica Odford this coming May at Forbidden Kingdom in Orlando, Florida. That is going to be sick. I know he is putting out some new music soon, so make sure to keep in touch with that and check his music out linked below. Speaking of music, you are going to get an exclusive first look at some of the tracks I'm dropping soon only on my Patreon. Listen to ad-free podcasts, get exclusive bonus content, so much more, Zoom hangouts, sample packs, vocal packs, group lessons, and more. So make sure to hit the link below in the description and check it out, or visit it at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. If you fuck with what I'm doing, if you love the podcast, if you love the guests I'm coming on and want to see more, make sure you are subscribing to my YouTube channel, like the video, share the video, comment on the video. I want to hear everything you can give me. Just make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel so I can give you as many of these episodes as humanly possible with the time I have. Make sure to follow us on Spotify podcasts, follow us on Google Podcasts, follow us on Apple Podcasts, and those are all of my fucking requests. So without further ado, happy second episode of the Lizzy Jane podcast for 2022. We've got special guest Rated R. Let's go. Frankie, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for bringing me here.
Yeah, absolutely. For all those listening, this is Frankie, Rated R.
Should I like look this way? Like,
no. I mean, you can look that way. You can look this way too, though.
Right,
we
cool.
can it can be like a mutual, like kind of corner diagonal eye contact every so often kind of thing.
All right.
Okay,
cool.
so we're good to go. Dubstep. Fucking boy, you've been making moves. How's it feel? How's it feel?
Bro. I've been trying. It's been a long road, you know. I'm just trying to keep my head down and shit, but it's been dope.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
Yes.
So,
I mean, you just had
fun.
A huge announcement yesterday.
Yeah. Are you on phase 2? You're gonna be on phase 2.
So I'm going through a little bit. We're not on Forbidden Kingdom this year. Not on Forbidden Kingdom this year, but it's okay. It's okay.
That's cool.
I'm starting to be a little bit more selective. We're like to the point where I'm really pushing for a certain festival, and in order for me to get there and accomplish that, I'm chilling in Florida right now.
I was gonna say, I saw you were talking about releasing more than dubstep.
Yes. Yeah. So I have an EP dropping in March on a really cool label that I'm really excited to finally be a part of.
Can you tell us?
And not yet, but soon. And I have an independent single dropping next month, which will be really cool. And I'm not leaving like bass music. I just am not releasing like as heavy as I previously released. But there's only a few songs that I've ever released that have been like dubstep. Like I've always done like the more experimental, like melodic shit, kind of old Circus Records type thing. Like I've never really made like rhythm. Like that's never really been my goal. And I was just talking to somebody yesterday about this, and I was texting Jessica the other day, and it's like there are just so many artists, you know, now obviously like it's like this in any genre, but it's like saturated to a point where like you really gotta love the kind of music you're making to like really go full in on like sound design is so much of what we're doing, like different mixing techniques, and a lot of it is more about the combination of all of that and then like kind of dibbling like musicality on top of it. And I don't know. When it comes to your creative process, are you somebody who just like sits down and you work in FL?
Yeah.
That like sits down, opens up FL, you're like, here you go? Or are you more on the lane of like, hey, this is my sound design day. Hey, this is my arrangement day. Hey, this is X, Y, and Z. Or does it depend per project?
So I'll start with that question, and then I'll touch back on what you were saying before that.
Yeah.
This year I've started completely different. I actually write ideas now. Like I used to go on and go like not with like a plan.
Mhm.
I kind of used to just go on and like whatever I was feeling. If I had like a melody in my head or I wanted to sound design something, I would just like wing it. But now I've been trying to do like 45-second like throw a fast build up down and try to get one like full drop done.
Yeah.
And keep moving.
Yep.
So like I just like trying to bounce little ideas because like I could go back to it, and it's been working out for me because like it's good for collabs. Like if you want to send it out to someone, like this is the idea, like so it's not a full song you're sending to someone, but that's like what I've been doing. But to touch base on what you were saying before about trying to like broaden your stuff and how like it's become a lot about sound design and stuff. The problem, I got mauled on Twitter.
Your Twitter! Oh my god, I didn't even think about that. I kind of brought it up without even remembering the tweet, but like, you're right, dude. Like, I think that sometimes, like, I love the consumers of this. Like, I love the fans or whatever you want to call them, the general listeners. However, I sometimes don't think they fully understand the back end of it and like the actual technical aspects like of production. And like there are a lot of people saying what you said about the lacking of musicality and the lacking of, you know, not even having to be multi-genre, but just not making every fucking song a quarter note with a sustain over it and a drum groove.
Well, here's the thing that I have noticed. If I can like shorten it into one sentence.
You don't have to shorten it. Go. Ramble.
There's an issue in the scene where it's become about producing for other producers. And it's when what that syndrome is when you go and you try to produce for other producers' acceptance and not for the sake of music or fans or supporters or whatever your friends you want to call. Like it's just for how can I make the weirdest sound regardless if it sounds good or not or has any groove or anything, just so another producer will say that's something different.
Yeah.
And what that does is it shrinks the scene because if people kept saying what I was getting mauled for is you don't dig hard enough, you're a coward, sending me all my own tracks and shit. And I was like, that's fine. I said open discussion. That's an open discussion. We talk about this, so bring all that shit on. I don't fucking care. But what I was trying to say is, if you ever expect dubstep to go back to the way it was, and we all live in the Skrillex glory days of everything being so big and dubstep was so big, if you ever think it's gonna break this barrier again, there has to be some music in it.
Yeah.
There has to be something that your mom's friend can say like, oh, like this is weird, but I can move to it a little, or like, oh, like something where like, and that's what I'm passionate about. If you are passionate about making the weirdest sound design for another producer, go ahead. But me personally, that's not why I'm in this.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to go and move around genres, which is a different subject, but make dubstep that is enjoyable. And like rhythm is, you know, it's dope because it has a bounce. Like shout out Al Ross, shout out fucking like yeah, like dude, like when some bouncy shit comes on, like it's just about the groove, like you know what I'm saying. But like for me, like I've never really been a rhythm producer. Like I've had all kind of like heavier, like I don't want to say like bro step, but like just heavier bass music is what I try to do.
And I feel like we're also in an age where if you're up and coming or like established, I don't know, I always use Getter's Project Visceral as the perfect example where you see somebody who really established himself in a lane, you know, under another alias, he was doing hip hop stuff, and then they go, okay, well, I'm going to do something different. And it's like you take yourself out of EDM and you look at pop music, for example. Madonna, Britney Spears, any pop star, they're currently all the time reinventing themselves. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna change this look? How am I gonna sound different? I mean, on Lady Gaga's fucking remix album, Little Texas released a remix that was like 1,000 BPM. Like, and that's Lady fucking Gaga. When did you ever expect for her to bring on something like that to a project?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like, we are just in a time where I think not only are artists touching on the topic of social media and TikTok and all of this stuff and how we have to be content creators, but that shouldn't be our sole purpose for existing, because like our sole purpose is to like focus on the art and focus on the creativity. But unfortunately, we live in an age where the majority of your demographic and your fans are going to see you through these different social media outlets all along the same time as, hey, don't put yourself in a box. Hey, like, let's very slowly, even though it is a longer road, use a craze, use nitty gritty as examples where, you know, you may just do something different and it may just pop the fuck off. So, you know, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to take the time and do something that, you know, maybe your predominant fans won't like. Well, guess what? There will be new fans that come on board for what you release now.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like, shout out to A Craze, my brother.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie. We started this shit together. And he's like a huge motivation. Always helped me a lot and stuff. We talk like every day still. But man, like, he's a pure example of it. Like, don't be afraid to switch and, you know, do shit you're afraid of. But I love dubstep, you know, I still like, you know, I'm still motivated for. I've been making house. I've been making everything. I haven't put it out yet, but I don't know if it will ever come out. But I'm still like, I have an idea that like I believe that my brand and like my music is like gonna be in its own lane and like not gonna be tied to like the dubstep like cult. Like I can just be in myself in my own lane. Because like if you look back from like 2014, like you said, Getter, Jaws, Snails, Keizo, like, you know, like even .com, like that era, it was kind of like all different lanes. Like now it's kind of all under the umbrella of like certain big artists.
Yes. Yep.
Like, and it's like, it's what it's done is it's just like it's crushing it all into this like, you know what I mean? It's very like interesting the way it looks. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but like, there needs to be like for you to get to that level, like for there to be that many big headliners simultaneously, like there needs to be like some different shit. And I feel like that doesn't only lie in with the music. It's like with the person and shit too, you know?
I mean, you live in an era now where it's kind of ignorant to say that it's only about the music. I wish it was, but it's not.
It's just not.
It's just not. And
it's unfortunate because like, you know, it comes down to like, I mean, there's so many fire producers that I have yet to see play on a lot of shows. Like I would love to see like Tracy play. Like he's one of my favorite like middle tier like insane producers. Phenomenal. Like I would love to see a set from him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know how many shows he's played. So I'm not saying anything bad, but
I think he's from overseas.
Oh, okay.
But there's a million Tracys who you see them and they just release this like not only musical, but forward-thinking music. And these are unfortunately the type of artists that you see throw in the towel because it's like so sad to see because they either don't have the right team or they didn't make the connection that they need this visual aspect, or maybe just sometimes it doesn't fucking happen. But I just can't imagine like knowing all of the absolutely like phenomenal producers that are just in Florida that don't get the time of day.
Yeah.
You know, imagine that on a worldwide scale of how many artists that we like never really fucking discover that are just top fucking notch. Because it is this controlled like game, I feel like at one point, and now you're with Chorus Agency. Like now you're in this next, I would say, level of your career where you are really seeing firsthand how the game of leverage is played and how fucked it is sometimes.
The thing is, for me, like, I mean, even though like I have an agent now and like I have a really strong management team and stuff now.
Shout out Alex.
Shout out Alex for
Yeah,
real,
yeah, yeah.
my brother, and Stephanie and Rose. Um, like even though I have like one of the strongest management and backing teams now, it wasn't always like that. Like it wasn't always like that. We didn't like leave each other or anything like that. We've conversated about adding people in or not to like bring something, but we've never like frayed away from each other. And I feel like in this industry, like I'm just gonna be the one to say it. There's a lot of fake people, and like people want shit from you, like when you're popping, and they will come and smile in your face. But like if you take the poison, then you're just as good as that moment of hype. And like what we did is we all stuck together. And I had my song Womp Womp and Oh Fuck, which was like got me to where like, a little bit in the public eye from at least what I think. Charlie's got his song now, and like we've all stayed tight knit. So like all of the attention that we've gotten, positive or negative, like we didn't like subdue to it and run after it. We kind of just like took it in doses, and like now like we have like a real serious team.
And you guys are a unit, and I think I wouldn't necessarily like say it as a privilege, but I think it's a really awesome thing that a lot of artists don't have is a support system and unit that like you guys have literally been there since day one. Like I remember being in school and fucking watching Charlie play as a resident at Guild. I remember like seeing you play as an opener on shows. And it's like Alex was still there. Steph was still around you guys all the fucking time. And now you guys have rose as a unit. And I think those are the strongest teams I generally come to see succeed at massive levels, because you guys have this like bond of trust where
I fully trust my team.
Yeah, and that is so fucking important. I'm gonna put like a little word like so fucking important like in the edit, because when you just like what you said, dude, I think everybody like makes mistakes to learn from shit in this industry, but there's a difference between making a mistake and learning from it, or taking the L and moving forward, and being like a piece of shit. And like there are a lot of pieces of shit, and everyone like wants to sell you the dream when you're an artist, because when you're an artist, like I might as well put like a fucking price tag on my head, because we're a product, and like you have to think of yourself that way, because that's how talent buyers look at us. That's how other people look at us. And if you don't have a team that you trust, you will never be as successful as you could be. And when you lose that trust with a team member, it's essential to act on it, or like communicate, or do whatever you need to do to put yourself in a position. Because I think more times than not, I've been in a position where it's like, you have a vision, I have a vision, everybody has a vision for their own project, but it's really easy when working with people who, maybe you don't know from day one. Maybe, you're working with them and they live in LA or they live in another part of the country.
Yeah.
And you kind of misconstrued that even though, you have this team behind you and, they may not be making a livable wage quite yet, they do work for you and it is your vision. And it's important to not get those terms twisted where you end up feel like you're working for somebody else.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like, with a team so tight-knit as us, like, it's hard because we kind of just, like, look at our relationship as a family all the time. And, like, there's a lot more emotion, like, pulled into our conversations. And, like, we don't really kind of pull, like, the manager and artist card too much because we're so close now.
You guys are, like, family.
Yeah, so it's kind of just different. But, like, if you are an artist and you do have a manager who you are new to and you guys are happily working together, it is healthy to retouch on the fact that they work for you and that you can be thankful and work hard together and stuff. But I've seen a lot of artists like be fucked by, people stealing money and all sorts of shit. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying. But anyways, maybe we should like address more of like the supporters instead of so in the industry because I know like sometimes like when I used to watch podcasts, I would like watch all the industry shit and it's fun to watch. But do you feel like most of your viewers are supporters or artists?
So I think it's
because I feel like the supporters want to hear what you eat for breakfast. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
and then like the artists want to hear like this shit.
So it's kind of like a weird concept that I've developed because I want to say like my target demographic, like sounding all whatever, is definitely for people who want to learn about the back end of the industry.
Oh, okay.
Like the majority of people who listen to this, like I would say, are up and coming producers, are people who want to do what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
So it's like that's why I try and like take this like level of transparency down where it's like an open-ended conversation versus like, what did you do this morning? What did you do? Because I feel like if you sit down with any blog, which I'm sure like you've done interviews and shit before where they're like, tell me what, you know, what got you into this journey, why you're doing this. But they don't go like, how did you get fucked yesterday by the guy who doesn't pay you?
They don't know all the
but it's like I still want to know like how you got started in this lane. Like, were you originally a raver? Were you somebody who was on your DAW when you were fucking 14 years old? Like,
no. So for me, I went to a festival right after high school in Tampa called Sunset Music Festival.
Yeah, that was where I went when I graduated high school.
I just went there and like fell in love with like the music and shit. And like it was weird because like I had so much fun. I left and was like, I don't want to go back and do that. I was like, if I'm having this much fun doing this here, I can only imagine how much fun I would have doing that here. So I went home and I was like, dropped out of school. Like I left early. It just wasn't my thing. And then my parents were like, what do you want for your birthday? When I was like 17 or 18 or whatever. And I was like, I don't want anything. And they were like, oh, we'll get you this like DJ board because like you like these shows and shit.
Yeah.
So I started playing on it and then I learned how to mix. And then I was like, I knew I would be pretty good at producing if I tried because I've been a drummer for a long time. And like I can like hear and key and like my parents used to work for the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, so I grew up around music and stuff.
That's fire.
So I got into producing and I picked up writing really easily. But the only thing like took a while was like learning how to like mix down,
sound design, post processing.
Yeah, but writing is like I feel like that's another thing. People like to like dumb down writing as if like everyone can do it.
No,
like,
everyone cannot do it.
No, and the thing is like writing is like everyone's like so focused on like the sound design and the mix down, they ignore the writing a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like the writing is like the most like important part. And it's kind of like building an engine. Like anyone can build a car engine, but does that make you a pro race car driver? No. Like you're a pro race car driver because you're talented at it. Like and you have a gift for it or you've practiced it. Like anyone can learn the components how to build something and mix and make your kick hit hard, but what groove is that kick gonna have? Mm-hmm. That's gonna come from your idea.
See, and that's where I think I see this kind of general line of people who come from other genres and then they move into production. They bring that sense of musicality with them. Even from you just being a drummer, you're bringing this previous set of skills to the DAW. And it offers something unique. And that kind of touches on like why I am starting to broaden my horizons a little bit because I love songwriting. Like I love lyric writing. I love that aspect of it. And there's no reason why you can't do it all together. But I use Must Die as a great example. Space Laces, the musicality of it. You're like, okay, I hear that melody in my head. And that kind of goes back to what you touched on to begin with, where, you know, even though Twitter is so fucking loud and annoying, it makes up such a small percentage of actual attendees that go to shows and actual people who listen to music, you know?
Thank God. And thank God. I will say, like, no hate to, like, Twitter, because, like, it's not the whole industry, but, like, I was saying that. Like, you feel like Twitter, like, when we first start going to shows, like, you just think, like, it's humongous. Like you go to see a DJ and you're like, oh, like this person's like humongously famous. Like this whole venue's like, you know, cleared, fucking slammed and shit.
Yeah.
And then like once you become an artist and you're on Twitter, you see like how small it is on there. Mm-hmm. But that really is just Twitter. Cause like the people who aren't involved, they still like it too.
Oh yeah.
And like if I feel like I can
the majority, a good 75% aren't on Twitter.
And it's interesting how much that small 30% has.
The loudest. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, shout out to like, you know, the people who are positive and shit on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the biggest plague like for artists on Twitter is like having conversations that two people disagree with something that completely doesn't turn toxic, because it always winds up going toxic.
And then you're canceled. And it's like I feel like there's a fine line between not giving a shit and being like, okay, this is like my page. I'm gonna say what I want. You know, I think using like Kanye West as an example, like all press is good press. You know, like anyway somebody's talking about you, at least they're fucking talking about you.
Yeah, and you can maneuver yourself.
Yes, but at the same time, sometimes it's just not even worth fucking dealing with. I got to the point like during mid-COVID when it was like real fucking nasty. Really I was like, nasty. I'm not doing anything on here. I was like, I'm not even gonna put myself in a position.
I have a lot of friends that basically pieced out from Twitter. Like they just go on because they like have to at times. But
yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely, but I would say it's part of our job, unfortunately, to have a presence on, you know, the applications. And like with your branding, like you've now brought in, I wouldn't even say like it is an icon, like an animation and an illustration like version of you that's representing like yourself. And so at one point did
talking
you
about like the character?
Yes, the character. So I want to know about that because I think it's super important for, you know, up and coming producers to realize that like, hey, like you don't necessarily need to be the face of your brand, but you need to have something, whether it's a fucking color scheme, an icon, like something to represent you like in a visual format. So when I think rated R, oh, I think of the character. Oh, I think of him. And did that come through like creative direction? Did you just hit a place where you were like, what I'm doing right now isn't working as good as it should be, and I need to have this alongside? Or did it just come with an EP?
It's kind of just it's kind of just like the brand evolving. Because like my brand's always been like this. Yeah. Like you start making music, you start building yourself, you start developing a brand, and it just kind of like. But the thing is, like, it started out where it was gonna be more character based. Like I was going to like dive in like very deep with it and stuff. But now I kind of like, I feel like if it's too hard to explain, people are going to get bored. Mm-hmm. So I just literally, I'm really just rolling with the character's appearance. Like I'm just going to use it in visuals and like, that's it. Like tattoos, like this shit looks hard. It's fucking rated R. Like that's it. Like I'm also going to use my own face a lot in my visuals that I'm having like made and shit. Sweet. Like, and I'm going to use like more of my like personality and shit. Like I just like, rated R's always been about me. Like I have a fucking horrible sense of humor. Like I like a sense of humor I shouldn't have. Yeah. Bad sense of humor, like crazy fucking music, like just a big boisterous person, like good times. Like that's what this brand's about. Like I don't give a fuck about shit. Like I'm here to just have a good time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like
I feel you.
That's it. Yeah. Like all good vibes and shit. Like that's what it's always been about. And like, I just want my shit to look dope. Like the head that looks dope. You know what I'm saying? So that's it.
That's it.
Like it doesn't need to be born on this day and it wears that and this is what it does and this is the world it lives in. Like it looks fucking hard. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
honestly,
that's it.
With the attention span of everybody nowadays, that's all you fucking need.
Yeah.
And it's pretty. How did you like come? I mean, it's true. You're like, that's it. I appreciate the truth. No, it's so true. And like, I don't know if it's like a girl thing. It probably is a girl thing. But I get so fucking caught up on like every little thing. Like every little fucking thing. And like, nobody gives a shit. And that goes back even again to what you were saying in the beginning where is the consumer going to give a fuck about your snare? No. They're not. They don't even know what a snare is.
As long as you can hear it.
You know, as long as you can fucking hear it.
As long as it's there.
Yeah, as long as it's there. It's like, just go with it and go with what works. So is that like, how did you come up with Rated R then? Because like now I got the meaning of it. How do you get the actual name?
So pretty interesting. This is a honest to God truth. The first thing that popped in Rated R was I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be a DJ, in my head at the time I'm thinking I'm a new DJ. And like if I was a raver, like, and I go to a festival and I'm like, well, you gotta wait for these headliners to go on. You gotta sit there all day and you have fun, but like you're really waiting for the last slot. I don't know any of these artists playing. If I see a motherfucker named Rated R, I'm gonna just go see him.
Yeah.
Just because like the name seems dope. Like I'm hoping that when I get there and his name is Rated R, that it's gonna be like someone like me doing what I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I wanted people to almost figure it out before they even saw anything. So when they get there, they're like, they have that satisfaction. You know what I'm saying?
I fuck with it. No, it's true.
And I feel like it works because like people I've met, like it's almost like they'd be like, oh, I've heard of you before, but they don't even know any of my songs. It's because like it's one of those things that like you may not have heard of me before, but it's so catchy that you think you heard of me before.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's cool with me.
Yeah.
Because now you know about it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like you open this to yourself, and like we all remember going to like our first shows or festivals, and like I remember when there weren't even apps. They just had a handout with the fucking schedule that you could like see online or you could print or whatever. And you would look at all the artists, and again, you know, I'd be there for fucking Skrillex. I'd be there for Seven Lions. And then you would look and you go, okay, so who am I going to check out? Who am I going to go see?
And whoever the coolest name.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And the thing is, like, it doesn't even have to really be like a Rated R or like something that means something. Like, even something that is aesthetically pleasing to the ear. Like, Flostradamus. Who knows what the fuck that means? But, like, seeing it on a flyer back in the day, I was gonna go see it. It just sounds dope.
Yeah.
Like, Flostradamus. Like,
you see the fucking
it's already intriguing me. Like, I've never heard anything. Like, I'm going to see that guy. It sounds dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Borgor, Carnage, like
Virtual Riot.
Barely
alive.
Exactly. Yeah, these names they stick. You know what I'm saying? It's aesthetically pleasing. Like you don't realize it, but it is.
I especially see it in more of like the heavier kind of trap going deeper names, because you're exactly right. I've never even thought about it that way. Like, okay, like I'm gonna have, because I hear it in like people's sounds sometimes. Like I think of Virtual Riot and I think of like exactly what he fucking sounds like, you know. But then when you think of like Flostradamus, I'm like, damn, that name just kind of sounds hard. And like that's hard. Honestly, I feel like the first time I saw them when I was like 18 was literally because of that. And then I saw RL Grime because I was like, oh, this is gonna be like maybe grime rap. Like this is gonna be like something. Grime,
yeah. And the thing is, like, you don't realize how much, like, and the thing is, like, when you're moving through the scene and you're becoming an artist and you're getting to that point where you're like trying to get an agent, which is where I was at for like the longest time, there was like a disconnect, because a lot of the times these agents and back of house people are very busy within what they've already got going on. So it's hard for them to like kind of see what's going on unless it's like
of space
right in their face. But the branding has a lot to do with it. Like, same thing we just said right now about, damn, that shit just sounds hard, or like, damn, this is that. Like sometimes like just forward front branding, like, this is me, this is the name, like, let it speak for itself is kind of like more organic than like, okay, here's the typed up story. Like this is the clothes I wear, this is the mask I wear. Like, it's like, dude, these kids aren't doing fucking homework out here. No. They're not gonna read it and do a fucking essay on all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like the coolest forefront, this is what you get, Void. Like, boom, mask, shit sounds crazy different. Like, you don't. What else is there to say about it?
And it's not even.
This is insane.
It's not even that complex. It's like a huge character development with like the mask and all of that stuff, and then it's Danny doing his fucking own shit to any track that he wants and playing completely original. And
he creates an experience, man.
He creates an experience. And it's different. It's notably different from and I feel like if you want to have like a side project, and have it under the same umbrella like he's done, A1. Like, fucking super, super sick.
And to go out like a legend and just like take Void off the bookings is just like so raw. Like he basically was like, "You're not getting it anymore." Like,
yeah, it's like,
I'll come back later and like it'll be like one of those like the legends never die type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where like it lived and then like it, you know, like if you experienced it, then you did, and if you didn't, then
exactly. And it's like that plays into another strategy that's implemented down the road, like whether you're represented by an agent or not represented by an agent. But it's so crazy because we exist in Florida where you can really like, you could live your whole career span in Florida by how fucking big we are.
Humongous.
And by how big it's going to get with all of these properties coming here.
I can't tell you how many friends from LA literally this week are calling me being like, "Yo, I'm trying to come down there."
Yeah. I mean, it is the spot, and it's going to continue to be the spot probably for a long fucking time.
Bro.
Granted, everything that's going on. In addition to the fact that, you know, but there is a flip side to it where you don't want to get stuck here. And some people get stuck here. Because it's such a huge market. I mean, when you see tours announced, they either have 5 stops in Florida or they skip it completely. Because it's such an additional leg where, you know, as everyone I was just talking to Taylor who was just on, and she was like, I remember shooting for Zed when he played at Lollapalooza at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And, you know, everyone starts as a fucking local. Everyone starts as a lower tier regional artist.
That's the worst level.
Yeah.
It's really the worst level, bro.
It's so
I mean, the thing is, bro, like, that shit, like, I met, like, a lot of my good friends, bro, like, when I was doing, like, the local shit. And, like, when I mean local shit, I mean opening, like, shows at venues, not playing, like, festival slot times in your own state. I mean, like,
that's not considered local shit. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, at the local level, it's very interesting because when I came out on the local level, I was like, oh man, like I just want to make some DJ friends, like see how they do shit, like try and exchange something, you know, like I don't know how to do this. So I tried to do that, and then it was a very like pause, like we don't want to fuck with you. And then I was like, okay, like I had some actually really good local friends. Shout out Sheen Boogie and all the Trap Zoo homies that took me in.
My god, I remember that shit.
Especially Sheen Boogie. But anyways, a lot of other locals like didn't really bring me in too well. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just go home and make music. And like my motivation then for anyone else who was in this position was, no matter how bad your local people are playing those shows and opening and all this shit, no one can take your computer from you. Like when I go home, when I go home, it's over.
Yeah.
And I sit down and it's it. It's done. Like nothing you can do, no matter what you do, whatever you don't want me to do, this is where it ends right here. Yeah. And like I made Oh Fuck 3 years ago. My first original like song that I released, and it went viral with Kevin Flum. And all the locals that didn't want to fuck with me were playing the shows for headliners that were playing my songs. And I wasn't even opening still then.
But that's how you jump.
That's how I skipped. Yeah. That's how I skipped. And then that's why like Alex was like, let's fucking like, he picked me up and shit. And then like, I started doing like some like local shit, but I never really was like, I don't really think I ever got the same local treatment as a lot of other people did. Well,
and that's a good thing. That's 100% a good thing because not only that, but people also get stuck, and it's like we're X amount of years into this shit, and there's still people who think they can do this without releasing music. And it's like, unless you have one hell of a team and one hell of a ghost producer, you're not gonna fucking make it happen, especially at a local level. Like you have, and it's okay to just want to be a DJ. I've seen that argument placed a lot lately too. DJing is a whole nother set of skills. And I have mad respect for somebody who can spin on vinyl, somebody who can bring out a fucking MPC or a drum controller, or a MIDI controller, and do it that way. But in this genre specifically, you gotta make music. You gotta release music. Because
Depends,
it's the only way, I feel like. It
is.
There are certain circumstances where that is not the case, but that's very minimal.
Like when you say like it's the only way, like it like you're saying as if like to achieve what we all want to achieve, which is, you know, doing the whole
festival sets, touring, X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
There
Now,
has to be presence.
if your ultimate goal is not that, and you just want to play in clubs and get like residencies and shit, then you can. But like, if you want to play festivals, if you want to play arenas someday and have people like singing your fucking melodies and shit, then you have to make music.
Yeah. Yes. But, and making music is a hell of a lot harder than DJing. I'll tell you that much. And you're in FL. What made you go with FL? Did you try other DAWs? Did you try Ableton? Did you try?
My friend had Ableton. Like... My friend Tommy had Ableton when we first started together. He like really like was a big part of like the beginning of my career. A good friend of mine. Like he had Ableton, and it just wasn't as like visually appeasing to me. So FL Studio was kind of just like visually more.
FL Studio has some aspects that I wish Ableton had. I am an Ableton person, however, like I think of certain things like the granulator for FL and the way the mixing board is kind of displayed is a lot easier, I would say, like looking at it than
it's just for me Ableton. The aesthetic is very like easy for me to digest.
Yeah. So and you can just kind of like pump it out and just be done.
Yeah, pretty much.
So with your ideas now, are you trying to do like one a week? Do you sit down and do one a day? What is your process for getting shit done?
So it's interesting because I've never really had like I feel like for me to have a sane mind in this, like setting goals is good, but it also puts like a lot of pressure on me. Like if I'm like, okay, you have to have like 5 ideas done, like by this week, then I'm gonna feel this pressure, and I'm like gonna just go to resort to do anything to get these 5 ideas done. When like instead of setting like an amount of ideas or songs, I kind of try to set, okay, your goal is to write something that is really good. Like this month, I want you to make something that is like really good, whether it's like a really good melody or a really good drop idea, like however many things you have to make to get to that one that's really good, that's what you got to do. And like, that's what I try to do. I try to like get through those ideas and shit to navigate to like, okay, like now we're going to work on this one. Yeah. That one's good. You know what I'm saying?
I would say quality over quantity. Start with quantity.
Always been like that.
Quality.
I only have like 13 unreleased. Like I'll have like, and like 3 of them are like 40-second long things, but I don't have like 50 unreleased songs.
You know what I mean? but because when you put that out, man, I haven't released a track in fucking 5 months. You're talking to me because I'm sitting here going, okay, this is what I want myself to represent, and it's okay to evolve. Every artist should evolve. Every artist should. I mean, it'd be boring to release the same sounding shit for 20 years, 10 years. Everyone's gonna do things differently. But I also see the flip side of it where I see certain artists that maybe they feel like they're slept on, or there's other factors where they're putting out a track every 2 weeks, and it's like it's impossible to keep that up. You know?
The thing is, even if you can, like, what is like, this is just my opinion too. Like, I'm not if
art is subjective. This whole thing's subjective.
If anyone is putting out music every 2 weeks, like, I'm proud of you because that's hard to do.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I will never be someone that does that because, like, if I always can just look forward to, like, every 2 weeks, like, oh, we're gonna drop another song every 2 weeks, it's just like, what's special about it?
Yeah.
Because, like, every 2 weeks, like, okay, Porter Robinson comes around, drops an album, like, once every, like, how long?
It was 10 years. Not 10 years. It was, it was like 5 years.
Because I'm not the biggest, like, Porter educated person. Let me retract that. Zomboy.
There you go.
He comes around and drops 2 songs a year. That carries him 6 months each.
Yeah.
And they're both immaculate. Like, he's probably, like, the amount of like godlike status that you like create is when you're drawing in a demand that you're not immediately supplying. And like your music has to be really good to do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't just be dropping any bootleg remix twice every 2 years and think it's gonna happen. But like when you're at the point of touring like him, like you can tour, captivate markets, and then drop 2 songs a year, like people are just gonna be all over it because they want more of it.
And it falls in line. Your release schedule falls in line with
interesting.
your live shows.
I'm not saying you should drop 2 songs a year. Like I'm not doing that. But for me this year, I have February. I have a song coming out on Bass Rush.
Awesome.
With Cyclops. Shout out Cyclops.
Man.
And then from there, I have another solo release coming out, and then a very big official remix coming out.
Awesome.
That I can't say, but I'm sure you can probably guess.
Ooh,
and then and then self-releases, and then we're just gonna play it from there. I have a Lucy collab, Gravedigger collab.
Nice.
A lot of other shit too. So
Oh yeah.
It's been good, but I'm like spacing it out, you know, like when I want shit to come out.
I think the track every 1 to 2 months for, I would say, for like an up and comer, unless you're like putting out an EP or something like that.
I feel like if you're trying to break into the scene, yes, you keep putting out till you break.
Yes, till you break.
But when you break, like,
well, that's when that quality level goes, okay, it's okay to make people wait, because exactly what you just said, there's a demand. It's exactly the reason why I left my residency. It's exactly the reason why you don't want to play at fucking Vanguard every Friday.
No,
you know? There has to be a demand for you and your music. And it's like, and there's a fine line between, I think a lot of people too think that when they get an agent, it's fucking done. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that's not the truth. It's not the truth. You have to build a demand for yourself. Yeah. And the agent is there to handle it and give you that extra bump that you need to maybe get in the door somewhere that you wouldn't get in if you weren't with them. And, you know?
The thing for me that the agent has done has given me the opportunity to promote my own music organically. Mm-hmm. Like, I went and played my Do It To It remix in, sorry, I'm having a dull moment.
You're good.
I went and played my Do It To It remix at Lights All Night with Haim Ghost. Shout out Nathan and Tiago.
Nathan's so wonderful. So is Tiago.
I love them.
Yeah.
But, that was like a really big look for me because like they're huge from Death Rail and shit. Yeah. So that was awesome that we were able to do that back to back. But like, if I wasn't playing these type of shows, like, dude, I played my Dude 2 remix and like you couldn't even hear the drop. That's how loud the reaction was.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't able to do that before having like management and agents like putting me in these situations. Like it was always like, send everything to Excision. Hopefully he plays it. You know what I mean? Hopefully, you know, fucking Zomboy, someone plays it. But when you can play your music and promote it organically,
that's when you start to grow.
That's when you start to elevate, not your music.
Yeah.
Because your music will get big, but you start to grow when you can promote your own music.
I love that. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. Because it takes a lot to get out of the realm of, oh, well, all the big guys are playing my shit.
Oh,
well,
that realm is like chasing your own tail, bro.
It's like chasing your own tail. And it's like, yes, you make bangers. Yes, you're a phenomenal producer. But at the same time, what are you doing that's different than the big guy who they know is going to sell the tickets? You know?
Dude, yes. 100%.
And that agent opens that door for you to obviously not be playing a fucking Excision slot, but you're playing it yourself. And when you play it yourself, there's a whole nother level of quality and demand that falls underneath that.
I always look at my shows as like, this is the last round of like a championship, like, you know, belt fight. Like when I go out to play, like when people tell me I had the best set of the night during the day with no crazy production, like pyro, none of that shit, like that's because like I fucking leave that shit as if it's the last round of a fight. Like I was doing walls of death at 5:00.
Yeah.
Like I don't give a fuck about going on them. I will do whatever I gotta do to make sure that you will never forget this set.
Well, it's your moment.
Like, and that, you will never forget it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, that's been good for me because like I'm comfortable up there, you know. Like I try not to like overly talk, but like I try to create moments that I would want to see. Like, is this sick bastard really doing a wall of death like at the opening of a festival? And like that's what I'm trying to do. Because I'm trying to go out and create moments. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Because like anyone can go out and like not say a word and play a 12 p.m. slot and have pyro and all the crazy things.
I'm sorry, that's for house music.
And yeah, it is.
Sorry, I also like to fucking pinch on Charlie really quick. I think that Charlie brought his stage presence from Jersey and bass music, and he applied it to house music, and it's taken people by storm. They're like, what?
He's a recipe for disaster.
I know.
Like, there is nothing. I saw someone like saying, we're talking about Acraze, but I saw someone say something like about the songs due to it's like overplayed or like Twitter bullshit or whatever. Dude, just to address something, this motherfucker has enough dubstep to make someone's career unreleased.
Yeah.
That can literally make someone's entire career. And he's never gonna release it.
I know.
And that's why like I always fuck with him. I'm like, bro, when these people start hearing your like a real ability, like when you start releasing like originals, like obviously Dude Too is a great song, but like his untapped ability to write, you know what I mean? Like, is this limited writing when you remake stuff like that? Yes. But it's like his writing skill is just so good, dude. Well, like everything he does is good.
For the longest time too, and this is another, path that, privately, I don't know if you've taken it, but you also see a lot of upcomers, they'll ghost for bigger people. They'll collab with other people where they're just putting their name on shit. And you know how dirty that whole cycle gets. And like for somebody to break out from that and really deserve what they get, like it's a lot.
All right, so let's
wait, real quick.
Let's open the can of worms.
Let's open the can of worms.
With the collabs and the names first.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
You want to see how I go with that road? This is how me and Alex decided. Because this always used to be a big problem.
I can't imagine the proposals that like you've gotten and had to be like, what? Like,
dude, so first of all, let's open the can. I see you do those little clips.
Yeah, I'll do the can. This is the clip.
Okay.
This is the clip.
How you decide if you want your name to be first or second on a collab. You got to decide immediately in that second, like, okay, if I'm collabing with Excision, knowing ahead of me doing this, going into it, I know I'm going to be second. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to collab with even someone remotely close to Excision, or someone be like, that's what I'm going to do. But if artists at the same level, that's the can of worms. Artists at the same level or mid-level, they struggle with this, like, let's work, but we're at the same level. So it's like, whose name's going to go first? I'm the one that says, like, listen, bro, I want to work with you, but my team, blame it on your team because that's what they're there for. They aren't letting me put music out unless my name is first. That's it. Like, if you want to work, I'm happy to do it. Let's do it. Let's make the song. But I can't put any music out unless my name is first because that's what's going to push us forward. And, like, some people are cool with it. It's not that you're going to get pushed back or anything. It's just, like, don't work with me then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, because I could release a song myself. You know what I'm saying? If you want to work and we're the same level and we're going to make a good song, like, I'm going to put my name first or I'm releasing it by myself. Unless it's someone, bigger that's going to elevate you. And the thing is, like, I try to tell my friends who are either my size or a little small or whatever, like, if you want to collab, don't send it to me. Like, send it to someone bigger. Send it to someone that's going to elevate you because I want you to be bigger. I want you to grow. I want to be second on your song. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's going to help me out. You know what I'm saying? We shouldn't be at this battle of we're the same size. You know what I'm saying? It should be like, let's be real about this. We should be sending our music to bigger people to elevate us. Like, shouldn't be having, does that make sense?
I love that because I've had so many like collabs with people where it's like you just made a really good point. It's like maybe one person's like one step above the other person and one step below, but it's nothing that's like gonna be game changing. Like I just finished a collab with Figure and he's the first person that I'm like, that will elevate me.
You're going second on that one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
I would too.
Yeah. And
that's completely like justifiable.
Yeah, but it's like that's where it's like that's a win. That's like that.
Yeah.
But then there's also like a thing too where when you do like creatively respect a colleague, like I would say you and Cyclops are like the same level. Like maybe a little bit different,
for sure.
but like you know he's fire and you know you're fire, and like when you put that together, you're gonna make a song that's gonna speak for itself without you two being there because everyone's gonna play
for sure,
you know?
For sure. And the thing is, like, you know, that so the decision making, like that I was just explaining about how to decide how you're gonna go name first was recently because the collabs, like I've had this collab with Cyclops for years ago where my mindset wasn't like that back then. It was kind of just like making music with homies and shit, which is a good, like, but when you get to a certain level, you have to start putting your foot down.
Yeah.
And like, so like, yeah, like those collabs like were easier kind of put together like that. Like, but when you get to a certain level, it's like, no one wants to talk about it, but you have to, you got to put your foot down. And if you don't want to do it, then don't collab with anybody. Because I can put my own shit out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, it's interesting because, like, I feel like us as, you know, mid-tier artists or, like, you know, whatever you want to call it, we need to try and focus more on self-releasing songs that mean something to us, that are good, that, you know, doesn't tie you into any certain group or label, like, because that's how you're gonna stand out.
Well, you see it even, like, again, back to the Bird app, or back to any, like, big, I would say, like,
collective label.
Yeah, collective label, or like EDM pages. You get these little, like, quizzes, like, what table are you at? And you see how, you know, because it's hard, because as an artist, you're battling with the fact of, now I feel like we're reaching a threshold where in the next 5 to 10 years, self-releasing will become widely encouraged and sustainable. But right now, it's like, unless you have a budget or the demand or the listeners there, self-releasing is a much harder way to go. But it depends on what label or what group you're pushing yourself to. Because you see a lot of artists and they go, the only way that I'm going to get out there is if I get in with Deadbeats, I get on their shows, I get put onto their team. And that is a way to go. You know, that is a route to run. But at the same time, it's like, at what cost are you giving away everything?
So I'm not going to use anyone in EDM as an example because I don't want to cause any confusion. But for example, let's say I'm joining Gucci's label, Gucci Mane, and I'm a rapper. Like, I'm only ever going to get right under Gucci. Mm-hmm. Like, until I pivot and take those supporters I've accumulated from that and do my own thing. Like, if you, like, join, like, a collective, like, it's people are automatically going to set your ceiling of that collective. Like, when I look at some of the bigger dubstep labels and shit, like, you immediately know who the biggest artists are on them, right? You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think they're artist owned? You know?
You immediately know who's the biggest artist on. And shout out to them for putting on a lot of small artists, because I don't want to sound ungrateful at all. I think that those artists putting and creating that path is amazing. But we're talking about a different level here. Like, when you get to that point and you've gotten the support and you are thankful that the artist put you on, like, it comes to a point where if you want to transcend above that collective, you have to do your own thing. And, like, I kind of avoided collectives, you know? Like, I don't have anything bad to say about them at all, and I probably would release on some of them, but the labels I've released on were Heavyweight, shout out Carnage for signing Womp Womp, Subsidia, Slugz with Snails. What else did I do? Drive a long time ago, and then Bear Grylls. But it's those labels aren't really like
they're not like all in. Labels,
yeah.
Like,
they're not like your signed brand. Like,
you're a family.
Here's the group.
This
like,
is your family.
This is your career now.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you do. And like, the thing is, like, I had a really good experience with releasing on Slugz because
I love Fred. I'll just put that out there that, like,
shout out
regardless
Fred.
Of anything, like, he is a fucking G.
Yeah,
and
that's my
he's
brother.
given us both opportunities, which is
that's my brother for life, bro. Like, no cap.
Yeah.
But he was someone who really helped me a lot with my career, man. Like, more than like any other bigger artist was a lot. I've had a lot of help from bigger artists, but like, he was the one who, like, would for hours would talk to me on the phone, like, he would ask me like, what does rated R mean? What does it mean? Like, if I'm a fan, like, what does it mean? And he would ask me like, what, like,
all things that you don't really
all
think
these
about,
things that I never thought about. And like, when he promoted you, you know how like some big artists, they promote you, but they like I've worked with artists, bro, that I literally have songs with that I will see at festivals and they don't even look at me.
Yeah.
That are bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, we literally have a song together. But like, but it's okay. Like, I don't need the friendship. I already got what I needed from you.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever. I'm not trying to be like that, but it is what it is. Like, but he wasn't like that. He was like, damn, like, I want to be your friend. Like, I can't fuck with you unless I am your friend. I can't fuck with your music unless I'm your friend. I can't fuck with you as a person unless I like know who you are. You know what I'm saying? And like, he really helped me a lot. And his platform was it is so big.
It's
humongous.
Big. It's huge. Yeah. Yeah. And when you get to that level, it's just kind of like a rinse and repeat and continue to be innovative and you'll be fine. And it's like, that's the level that we obviously all aspire to get to. It's just, we're working in a different time period now. We're working in this age of ever growing social media and smaller attention spans. And just like what you said, it's like, we put out songs and it'll live for about a month, hopefully. And then it kind of disappears. And then you do a remix pack and then you do this and then you do that. And you just hope that the quality of it will continue to stand the test of time. But it's going to be really interesting, especially with like the whole fucking NFT thing. It's going to be really interesting to see the back end of like where our capabilities of artists go. Because like if I learned anything from COVID, it was to have multiple sources of income. And like you work a job, right?
Yeah, I still work a night job. Yeah.
And like also to everybody fucking listening, like this is a guy who is pretty much a full-time touring artist. I would say we've gotten to that point. Yeah. And you're still working a job.
Yeah, it's weird because people like recognize me and shit like at my job and they're like, what are you doing here? But like the thing is like I don't fucking care, bro. Like
no, but it's like props to you.
I'm like so humble, bro. Like I'd rather have money instead of like be like, you know, like kind of making money touring. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's not something that's dependable anymore.
Even if you making $2,000 a show, like if you're about your shit, like, you know, your money's either going like
back into your project.
Back into meat project. Like, and that doesn't necessarily have to mean like saving for releases and shit, because that's hard as fuck to do in the first place if you're not making too much from shows and that's your only income. Like paying for media. Like, bro, the main shit goes to management and media. Like I'm so big on having like good media. Like I spent like $700 at EDC.
Yeah.
Because I had two and I was like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like this is like this moment on social media is gonna like make everyone see like what I do here.
It's a constant investment into yourself.
Yeah. I literally spent like $700 on media, which is like maybe not a lot for some people, but until like, you know, don't be ashamed about having a job or like doing what you know, want to do to make more money. Cause it's like, yeah, I could make $50,000 a year touring, but like, why would I want to make $50,000 a year touring when I'm doing like $100,000 a year, keeping my job right now? Yeah. And like, once I get to like a higher budget, obviously I'll quit. Like, you know, there's people who do like $10,000 a show and shit. Yeah. But I'm just not there yet. So until I get there, then I'll fucking quit my job. But shout out the job for now.
No, definitely. And it's so important. And these are things that people don't think about when they go all in before they're ready or before they have another source of income. Like my income does not come from shows. Like it just does. I can't depend on it.
Yeah,
I just can't.
It's like a really good hobby.
Yeah.
Like a successful hobby.
Yeah.
Like it's great.
And it's great. And it's like I would definitely consider it my career, but I can't depend on it with like just confidence.
Yeah, you can't just yet.
And, you know, this is coming from, you know, you're on year, what, 5, 6?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. I'm on year fucking 4. Like, we're 4 years into it and we're still here, you know, and we're right there on the cusp. But it's also, you know, better to be comfortable than to be living out of a pocket that you don't have.
Yeah, a lot of artists would rather struggle and like not work a job because like their ego's too big. Like, don't get confused, bro. Like, if you play in front of 10,000 people and you ain't making shit, like, you need to still work. Like, you need to still do your thing to provide for yourself, put food in your mouth, you know what I'm saying? Like until you're making money, then don't feel ashamed for having the job, you know what I'm saying? Like, do what you got to do and shit. Absolutely. That's what I do. Yeah. But, like, I mean, you don't have to, but that's what I believe. And you said something before that I found interesting. You said, like, songs live for a month and stuff. I feel like because
like
I've
now
had a
it's
different
gotten harder.
I've had a different experience. Like when I dropped Womp Womp, like that song now till this day, like I shut the volume off and everyone knows it and shit.
But
And,
a lot of people don't have that Womp Womp in their discography yet. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm trying to touch on. Like you have to really think about what you're releasing, because like if you're just trying to release every month and hoping like one will stick, then like continuing the same process is not going to fix the problem. You have to change the process to solve the problem.
Yes.
And like if you're gonna keep releasing, like, you know, get shit out as fast as you can just to like stay active, like it's not the way to go. Like you have to like for me, like with Womp Womp, I wanted to hear I thought it would be cool to hear like my voice say Womp Womp and then the drop do what I just said. So that's why it hits without a kick and it goes boom, boom, and then it drops, because like it just like I thought it would be cool, and then like it meant, what I'm trying to say is it meant something.
Yeah.
There was a reason behind it. You know what I mean? And then like it
and
worked.
That's important too. Like I feel like that's something more than ever, especially with you can learn whatever the fuck you want on the internet nowadays. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse not to know how to do something. And there's, you know, no problem with asking, but it's so different taking a fucking reference track, getting some inspiration from it, and then doing your own thing and doing something that means something to you versus just putting something out that sounds like everybody else. Again, what you just said, running in the same circle, doing the same thing, expecting different results is like the definition of insanity, because it's not going to fucking happen.
Yeah, it won't happen.
You know, and
sure.
and you have had a release just like Charlie had fucking Do It To It. It's, you know, it's and sometimes it just takes that one release, Womp Womp, put you on the fucking map.
It just broke me through.
Yeah.
It broke me through because like everyone was playing it, like Carnage, ATLiens, Excision,
for a long time.
For a long time, and like it carried me. So it was really interesting, man. Like I was so pissed, low-key, because when we dropped it, the pandemic hit 2 weeks after.
Yeah. Like
I think that I would be in a different place if like everything was still normal then, because I would have like went with all the hype.
Yep.
Like the song went and I kind of just like had to wait.
You're like, great, now everybody's
I had to just wait, you know what I'm saying? So but it did like get me to, you know, meet a lot of cool bigger artists and shit. It definitely helped me like meet a lot of bigger artists. Like,
yes.
A lot of bigger artists were befriending me and shit. And then it's hard, like when you have a song that does so well, like you think like my goal was to be able to self-release. I always considered like if you self-release something and it gets like, this is like SoundCloud terminology, and it gets over 10K likes, then that's kind of viral. Like that was like my goal, and like I did that with 2 songs, because Womp Womp came out on Heavyweight, but it came out on my SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And then Oh Fuck came out, and they both got over 10K likes, and like that was like an accomplishment for me, you know what I'm saying? But it's interesting now because now we're having to pivot to Spotify and all this like playlisting and like different stuff. I'm starting to be okay with it now. I really hated it at first.
It's the fucking monthly listeners that matter.
Yeah,
I hate it.
It used to. My monthly listeners are probably so low, right? Because I haven't released in a while, but
mine are too.
It's gonna change.
I'm like,
in the next
alright.
months.
I'm like, all right, we're fucking riding it out. No, it's a whole nother game, dude. I definitely like the SoundCloud era better. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it was
I'll
dope.
just say that. Because, you know, now you have distribution. But again, the Web3, the NFTs, not everybody's on board yet, but that shit will become important to us.
Oh, yeah, the NFTs are cool. Like, me personally, I get, like, a different message every day about, like, some automated shit. It's like, yo, this is the next big shit, like, if you don't join now, like, I'm just like, I'm like, bro, you don't even know who this message is going to, bro.
Sign
like,
up
no one
for the
even.
collection drop.
Yeah, shout out Bear Grylls though for
He's been running it.
Putting me on his Candy Kids.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
He made me look skinny in it too. So it was really dope.
Oh my god, no, I fucking love it. All right, before we go, I need like 3 wise pieces of advice from Rated R. For
oh boy,
up and coming producers.
3 wise pieces.
Wise pieces.
Advice.
Wise.
All right, let's see. Number 1, worry about yourself. who gives a fuck what anyone else does? Number 2, wise piece of advice. Don't ask everybody what they think of your music. Because I learned the hard way with that. Like, don't ask everyone what they think of your shit because, like, you're just going to be, like, you know, it's going to throw you off. Like, me and A-Craze talk about that a lot. Like, he doesn't ask nobody really anymore. Like, he'll send you his shit, but he don't ask you.
Like, what do you think?
He'll be like, oh, yeah, I made this today. You know what I mean? Like, all right. Like, and that kind of, like, because, like, you have an idea in your head and you see it a certain way, and, like, people won't see it until it's, like, out and, like, you know what I'm saying? They can't really understand it. And then a third one is what my manager always tells me that I struggle with all the time is be patient.
Oh, boy.
I struggle with that all the time. I call him every single day and ask him the same question because I'm so persistent. But you just have to be patient.
Especially living in email world, dude. You get the fucking stop sign.
And then last one, I'll do a fourth one. Believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you're never gonna be able to do anything. Like,
how's anybody gonna believe in you?
You have to. Like, if you portray yourself a certain way, like you have to portray yourself the way you want people to portray you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you like aren't sure of your own shit, then who's gonna be?
This industry is not for the faint-hearted. You gotta have some fucking confidence on your back. You gotta have
the spike dildo ready to fuck. You know
Thanks for listening to the podcast, guys. I'm just kidding. Yeah, dude, like all wise words of advice, I would definitely say that'll make a solid clip. Solid little clip with some tabloids ending with the dildo coming across the screen.
There we go.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get canceled for this one.
Maybe.
I'm the uncancelable
it's your time.
DJ.
You're the only one that allows yourself to get canceled. You're the only one that throws in the towel.
Carry me on the crowd surfing of being canceled.
Ta-da!
I love it, baby. Bring it out.
Thank you, Frankie, for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.
This was literally such a fun fucking episode to record. Big shout outs to my boy Frankie for coming on the Lizzy Jane podcast. Make sure, again, to subscribe if you loved the episode. Follow us on Spotify, Google, Apple, whatever you are listening to the podcast on. Make sure to follow that shit because it does matter. Ad-free podcasts available only on my Patreon. Link is below. Check that shit out. And I will see you guys next week.